because I thought that one of the things about neighborhoods is that we don't understand what previous generations did or how they lived, and this, walking around the neighborhoods, you see signs of its particular evolutions. There are several periods of history here in this neighborhood, and I thought the neighbors would really enjoy having some signs out by the sidewalks that would explain, oh, well, here was a baseball park, or here was a brickyard, or here was a factory that made farm equipment, and the the kind of thing that would tell you more about the evolution of the neighborhood. And I just thought, well, it'd be fun. And so I talked to a friend of mine who's a writer and a friend of mine who's a historian, and Tim Weitzel, who lives right across the street, is an accomplished historian and worked for the Office of the State Archaeologist as a historical archaeologist, and he had a great grasp for it. So we decided, well, we'll put in for a Penn grant, and that's how it came about. We applied to the city for a Penn grant, and I worked up some estimates because doing displays and exhibits is my business, and so I just thought, well, why not just do something that we can put up around the neighborhood and see if it works. So we did. And Tim did the research, and a neighbor up the street, Linda Leidiger, did the refinement and editing of the writing of the labels, and I developed the graphics and the design for the signage, and we got some money from the city to do it, and we hired a local welder to weld up the sign panels, and various other ways of subcontracting. We got it all done, and Tim and I went around and put them all on the ground.
And the Longfellow Neighborhood Art Project was a public improvement in the neighborhood's grant through the city of Iowa City. And Will Thomson is the lead artist on the grant, and I was the principal historic researcher. And it was designed for public art, and so there's an art component to all the signs. And but the neighborhood, what they decided they wanted most in a public art project was to have historic markers marking things that are known in the neighborhood. With the neighborhood history, there's not always a good chance that you're going to have a lot of documentation already available. So it's going to be new research for that. And not knowing what you're going to find, it may not pan out. It may turn out that, well, it's a great story, but it never happened. So my suggestion was that we actually research the markers and actually verify the histories. If we're going to commit them to being on a permanent marker, where anybody can walk by and read it, it shouldn't just be neighborhood recollections. It should actually be something that we really know is true for that area. And then in the next year, when we were doing the research, I was the neighborhood president, because usually you do that and stuff. So I also got to help do the interaction with the city engineer on where we're going to put them exactly and how they're going to be put up, and some of the specifications so that they were safe for traffic. They're in between the sidewalk and the curb in most cases, so there's a good chance that somebody might run into one at some point, and if so, then it has to have the same safety standards that any sign in that area has.
Well, I think people really, reaction, I guess, is a matter of, I love going down the street and seeing somebody standing in front of one of the signs reading it, and I often see people reading reading the signs, and that's what gives me my feedback is that they appreciate and enjoy them.